Great.
It is an improper comment to make. This is an whole of India approach. This is taking everybody along.
Hello everyone, you're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakir. A political tussle has erupted over India taking the reins of the G20. Senior Congress leader Jairam Ramesh attacked the centre on Twitter, saying, and I quote him, previous presidents of G20 have been US, UK, Canada and South Korea, but none of these countries staged a high-voltage drama as is being done around India becoming the G20 president for a year. Jairam Ramesh took a direct shot at Prime Minister Narendra Modi, calling him an event manager. The political war comes as India expands its diplomatic clout on the world stage. Prime Minister Narendra Modi made the pitch of one earth, one family, one future. He said that India's agenda during its G20 presidency will be inclusive, ambitious, action-oriented and decisive, with climate change and terror being the top priority. On the campaign trail in Gujarat, he also sent a message to the Congress saying they cannot really digest India's meteoric growth story, adding that Gandhi's believe in Parivar above the country. The post-COVID world has seen India taking a more active role on the world stage. Beyond championing the India First agenda, the Modi government has framed its foreign policy for outreach, like we saw with the Vaccine Maitri program, and for global coalitions to counter terror, promote economic stability, expand people-to-people contact, and promote climate action. Through the presidency of the G20, the Modi government is leveraging all aspects of India, from democracy to diversity, to achieve its foreign policy goals. Let's get you an overview of how India is celebrating its G20 presidency. First, 100 monuments, including UNESCO World Heritage Sites, are being illuminated with G20 logos, from Srinagar's Shankaracharya Temple to Delhi's Red Fort through to Thanjavu's Chola Temple. India will be conducting 200 meetings in 50 cities over the next 1 year. So there'll be event in just about every state capital. G20 delegates will be given local gifts, trying to showcase one district, one product initiative of the Government of India. There will be interactions and seminars at 75 educational institutions. The G20 push will be taken to the farthest reaches of India, like the Hornbill Festival in Nagaland. The G20 logo will be showcased on the world-famous Puri beach by sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik. There will be nationwide quiz competitions, talks and cultural programs, along with a grand social media campaign. So that's how it looks like as far as this 1 year of presidency is concerned. Now, while the Congress has called it event management, here is how the world has seen India's presidency. If you look at the CNN, it says New Delhi has deftly balanced its ties to Russia and the West. And analysts are saying that Prime Minister Modi is emerging as a leader who has been courted by all sides, winning him support at home while cementing India as an international power broker. If we look at Germany's Deutsche Welle, it says, and I'm quoting them, even as India is reluctant about mediating in the Ukraine conflict, its action and words will have an impact on the global reactions to the war and the post-war international situation. Now look at Al Jazeera. It says India has always had a tradition of balancing world powers. But this year, we have seen the country's foreign policy establishment possibly embrace an upgraded form of non-alignment. Then look at CNA Singapore, which says India will also use its presidency to be a voice for the global south and for poorer nations suffering the ravages of conflicts the West is engaged in. So has the Congress Party's attack been unwarranted? On the show tonight, I will be joined by India's G20 Sherpa Amitabh Kant in that exclusive conversation, which will be coming up in just a bit. But let me bring in my guests at this hour. Tuhin Sinha, spokesperson of the BJP, Shama Mohammed, national spokesperson of the Congress, Ashok Sajanhar, former diplomat. Shama, in a post-COVID world, India's global role has gotten bigger. Doesn't the stand of your party, look at it, doesn't it appear to be just petty politics? Why not join the center and the rest of the country in this moment of celebration?
First and foremost, India has taken over the presidency of the G20. We are all happy about it. But Mari, I don't understand what the controversy here is, because it's just something like a rotational thing. You've had Canada, South Korea, France, Mexico, China, Germany, Argentina, Japan, Saudi Arabia, and the last one was Indonesia. So what is so big about this thing? What you're talking about is what I fail to understand. It's not a big event. Every other country, it's a rotational thing, and India has got it. Now, what we need to focus today is what Prime Minister Modi said at the Bali summit. For me, that is more important. Now, India is taking over the presidency. He's spoken about Vasudeva Kudumbakam. He's spoken about one earth, one family, one future. He spoke about peace and security. He spoke about inclusive development. He spoke about environment, which is also very important. So when I hear all these things, and he spoke about gender equality, about women's participation is very important. Now, when I hear all this, the most important thing I start thinking is inclusive development. Why don't we start it at home? That is where everything, charity begins at home. Where about women, he spoke about women, he speaks about environment. Environment, I live in Delhi, you live in Delhi, you are in the NCR or wherever in this part. And what is the winter here? It's horrible. The air is pollution is what, 420 sometimes it goes up to. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to go on a war footing for controlling pollution like China did in 2014.
Yes,
and
but that is also a joint effort for which the Aam Aadmi Party government has much to explain than the center.
No, I'm just going to let me finish.
Yes,
Maria.
you've made your point, Shama. You've made your point, because all those questions have to go to the BJP now.
Yeah. So
does the Congress have a point when it says that this push for G20 is aimed at the elections? Because whole of 2023 will be seeing big events, and then 2024 elections will be happening. Respond to this charge of the Congress party that, if anything, this is diversion from the real issues.
Well, Maria, the Congress party, driven to despair by its infinite failures, goes into depression whenever anything good happens to the country. Now, agreed that, G20 presidentship happens on a rotational basis. But look at the coincidence. The India getting the presidentship of the G20 coincides with a time when our economic robustness and stability achieved on the basis of our principles of the last 7-8 years is being acknowledged by the entire world. India is being seen as an investment hub by the entire world. Our diplomatic prowess, again, is being appreciated by the world. What Prime Minister Modi ji said to Putin, this is not the era of war, was subsequently incorporated in a resolution of G20. So, the Prime Minister, being with his habit or with his tendency to optimize India's achievements, is only trying to leverage the situation, the favorable conditions in which India is getting G20 leadership. He's invoking a sense of pride in every youth, and the youth also needs to be aware that this is not an apologetic nation of the 1950s, where Nehru, would so easily give up a UNSC, the offer of a UNSC permanent seat. So I think this is an aggressive nation. This is a dynamic nation. And if the Prime Minister is invoking a sense of national pride in every Indian about India's supremacy in the world, that should be appreciated.
Okay. So Shama, respond.
No,
why bicker over this?
They have invoked it, put it into the resolution of what the Prime Minister. They did not put it into the resolution. They acknowledged what the Prime Minister.
No, that was put in the resolution.
Right. There's nothing wrong in
that. That was put in the resolution. Do you want me to read the resolution for you?
Let me finish my point also. What Tuhin, what you're saying is that a big economic development. The G20 in 2008 acknowledged Manmohan Singh acknowledged as advice to the world where we did not go into a recession and the rest of the world did. So this all happens. What we are saying is do not do an event management about it. It is a good moment that India has taken the presidency of the G20, and like every other country, it's rotational. But this sort of event when the elections are there and saying that without Prime Minister Modi nothing can happen. I have asked you certain queries, you have not answered to that.
Let me ask
what
Ashok
about
Sajana.
Environment? When I say
Ashok
I mean
Sajana, should it be seen
I'll tell you.
the manner in which the Congress party is putting this, that it is just rotational, or should it be seen from the point of view that India's position in a post-COVID world is very different, and this is about leveraging soft power and also acknowledging what we have achieved through vaccine Maitri and other diplomatic initiatives?
Thank you very much, Maria. Let me just make a couple of points here. What is being mentioned, that it is rotational, it is right. But I think we need to see that what are the circumstances under which India is taking this responsibility. The world is going through huge turmoil, a huge turbulence. G20 is supposed to look at economic issues, at economic matters. And you see what is happening around the world, whether it is food shortages, fertilizer, energy, debt vulnerabilities, the supply chain disruptions, inflation is increasing. There are so many shortages in developed and developing countries. It is under these circumstances that India has been entrusted, India has got this responsibility. And I think there is much hope, as also, I would say, confidence as far as the international community is concerned, that because India has both performed very well to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic, as also the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
Okay.
There was a comment made about the Indian economy. In 2014, India was number 10 as far as its GDP in the world is concerned. Today, it is number 5.
Yes.
And, it is the fastest growing market economy in terms of the number of people it has been able to take out of poverty is very impressive. It's been recognized by IMF.
Shama,
it's been recognized
Shama,
by the UNDP.
I agree with Ambassador Sajanhar. My question is that this is India's moment and the world is watching India, because the narrative that will be set or the agenda that will be set will be carried forward by other countries. Shouldn't then just look at it from that prism, that because the world is watching us, should there be politics here back home?
Of course not.
Yeah.
Of course not.
Can I speak? I think the question was to me,
this
Ambassador.
This is an opportunity for India. Maria, you asked me the question, so
I think it is
allow
to
me
me
to respond.
He asked me the question. She asked me the question.
Ambassador Sajanhar, I'm going to come back to you. Let me take a quick word from Shama. Yes, Shama.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. So, Ambassador, you said just now that India has taken, of course, India has to take this responsibility. It's India's turn. It is not that India went out of the way to get this presidency. That is taking responsibility. Is it India's turn after Indonesia next year? And that is what it's just, like you say, the baton is passed on to India. That's about it. But my thing over here is talking about during the Gujarat election, saying we are number 1. You don't need that. You just have to continue and do what he did, what he promised in the G20 summit in Bali. That is what I'm asking you, Ambassador. He spoke about the environment. Let's go on. Let him call the chief ministers of the 4 states, UP, Haryana, Punjab, and Delhi, and sit with them and sort it out for you and everybody about the environment. What we inhale. I want him to talk about inclusive development.
Maria,
what is inclusive development when his own chief minister, Mr. Hemanta Biswa Sarma, says there's love jihad in the murder of Shraddha? I mean, I cannot understand.
No, from where is Shraddha murder case coming in this entire argument?
I want to know what is inclusive
Maria,
development.
I say this with responsibility.
You have to practice at home what you preach. I want to ask all these questions. I want to know. No, let me finish.
You have to make your point, Shama. Let Tuhin speak now. Tuhin,
Maria, I say this with responsibility. The Congress is increasingly ignorant in its criticism of the government. Just now you pointed out, about the Congress saying that it was not included in the Prime Minister's statement, was not included in G20 resolution. It was. Again, when it comes to environment, since Shama has been repeatedly asking me about environment, she must know that India is way ahead of its targets in terms of reducing carbon footprints. In India, the transition into renewable energy. our
cannot come on
transition
national TV
into
and
no,
lie.
you need to do your homework. You need to
I
do
have
your
done
homework
my
and come
homework.
back.
I do not
Our
come to a
transition
channel
when
without
it
doing
comes
my
to
homework.
renewable
We are
energy
nowhere
has
ahead
been
when it comes to
phenomenal.
pollution control.
But yes, I mean, they pick up the issue of Delhi, for which they can't blame Arvind
It's not
Kejriwal,
just
who has been
Delhi.
repeatedly sitting on funds and not releasing those funds. So I think the Congress needs to get real for a change. They must celebrate India's achievements, even if it is for a year, even if it is on a rotational basis. That is what I was saying.
But what is the
Honorable
achievement?
Prime Minister's ability to invoke a sense of national pride is something they cannot cope with, because they were not able to do it over the last 6-7 decades.
That's why Obama said, my guru is Manmohan Singh. What did Prime
That's
Minister
why Obama
say?
is gone.
My guru is Manmohan
And
Singh.
that's why you're in a time warp.
So please don't tell
But
us
that's
about
why
how,
you are in a time
how
warp.
we have a national pride with Prime Minister
If
Manmohan Singh.
Putin
How
appreciates
India
Mr.
was
Modi,
way above
if other
in
world
terms of
leaders are
GDP.
presently
Let's
appreciating
understand
Mr.
the
Modi,
let's
you
talk
are
about
in a
GDP
time
now.
warp.
So what you're talking
Yes,
about,
of
we had an
course,
average GDP
let's
of
talk about
8.2 in the
GDP.
10 years we were in power. Let's
No,
talk
so of
about
course,
that.
let's talk about
Let's
GDP.
talk about
When
per
the
capita
last
income.
year,
Let's talk about everything.
absolutely,
Where is inclusive development
absolutely.
here? I want to know how many Muslim
Absolutely.
BJP MPs do you have in the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha?
Doesn't
Can
matter.
you tell me? Can you tell
Doesn't
me?
matter. Doesn't matter at all. The fact is that every social welfare scheme has reached the Muslims in large numbers, in unprecedented numbers.
Okay, let me get Ambassador Sajanar. Ambassador Sajanar, just for the benefit of our viewers, I want to understand how have politicians in other countries responded to G20? Has there been this kind of political bickering ever?
No, I don't think so. I think in all the other countries, all the political parties, I think the countries have acted as one whole. And I think we will be doing ourselves a great disservice if we do not take it, the people are involved, the state governments are involved, because as you mentioned yourself and as the Prime Minister has mentioned, there are going to be 200 meetings in 50 cities. And it is also, I think,
Ambassador Sajanar, in fact, Mr. Amitabh Kant told me that it is starting with Udaipur, which is in Rajasthan, which is a Congress-ruled state. So there is an involvement of each and every state of India.
And it will be an opportunity to showcase, both our culture as well as our achievements. So I think all the parties really need to come onto the same page, onto the same platform. And I think as far as, Maria, if you permit, on the environment issue, I think India is the only G20 country which has met its Paris Accord commitments as far as environment is concerned. Now, when the lady is talking about environment in Delhi, I think we need to recognize that ours is a federal structure. And, whatever is the local government, it is their responsibility basically to take care of the environment. I don't think you can pass on the responsibility to the central government, but this is a matter of detail that we can go into. But otherwise, at the macro level, whether it is in terms of bringing down greenhouse gas emissions, in terms of declaring the
okay, Ambassador, I have just 30 seconds for you. I want to understand again from you, because it's playing out, domestic political, tutu meme is happening on this issue. Let's look at how the world is viewing, because this is, as I said, it's a huge opportunity for India. Do you think this kind of politics that's happening will be viewed, negatively by the world?
I think politics apart, we will not be able to put our best foot forward. And I think this is an opportunity that we have got, that all of us need to get together. Only then will we be able to put our best foot forward. And if we are able to not take full advantage of this opportunity, I think we'll be missing out hugely on this.
It's a moment for India and also a huge opportunity. Thank you so much for joining me. Ashok Sajanar, Shama Mohammed and Tuhin Sinha will be continuing for the next debate. But before that, our big newsmaker, Amitabh Kant, G20 Sherpa, is joining me live. Mr. Kant, really appreciate your time. How do you look at Congress Party's allegations that the G20 presidency is rotational and India's presidency was inevitable? Previous presidencies, whether in Bali or Italy, there has been no high voltage drama as it is being done in India. And I'm quoting Mr. Jairam Ramesh, where he said, I'm reminded of L.K. Advani, who in 2014 called Mr. Modi a brilliant event manager. That's all there is to the spin around G20. Also, the Congress is eventually alleging that the last month, I mean, the entire event will be playing out in 2023, which will be leading up to 2024 Lok Sabha elections.
No, it's a bizarre statement because there is a lot of content, there is a lot of homework done, there is a huge amount of issues, what we call the priorities, which are discussed. All through the year, it's about discussing on priorities. It's about discussing on shaping the future of the world. It's about driving inclusive and resilient growth. It's about bringing in, accelerating the pace of sustainable development goals, education and health. Vast number of people have fallen below poverty line. It's about climate finance. It's about restructuring the multilateral financial institution. It's about digital transformation agenda, which will form a very integral part of what we have done through the digital public goods. It's about women-led development. This is all content. When you do this kind of a content, every single G20 holds, every working group. In the Sherpa track, there are 13 working groups. There are 8 finance tracks. There are 20 engagement groups. Nothing is different from what other presidency do. They hold meetings. We are doing exactly what UK did. We are doing exactly what USA did. We are doing exactly what Indonesia did. We are doing exactly what every single G20 country has done. And this is the process which is built over the year so that you can then have the leaders meeting and arrive at a final communique. To say that this is event management is absolutely wrong and incorrect and improper.
Okay. Mr. Kant, in India, we have seen criticism around the G20 logo and, of course, this event management comment which you are saying is bizarre. How is the world viewing this politics playing out here in India? Do you think it will send a wrong message outside?
No, it is an improper comment to make. This is a whole of India approach. This is taking everybody along. We are right now working with the government of Rajasthan. We've got all support. The first event is being held in Udaipur. Every single person in Udaipur, every single official has helped us. It has led to the building up of infrastructure. It has led to the cleaning of infrastructure in Udaipur. A later meeting is being held in Kerala. Many meetings are being held in different parts of the country. Everyone is supporting it. This is a whole of India effort. This is about cooperative federalism at its best.
You are saying that this is cooperative federalism at its best. I'm looking at this article that has been written by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He said that India as a leader will be inclusive, ambitious, action-oriented and decisive. How is India going to push this agenda and how do we want the world to look at us? What do we hope to achieve both diplomatically and also back home here in India, domestically?
So one is that there are huge challenges at the moment. You have the geopolitical crisis in Europe. You have vast segments of population falling below the poverty line. Many million people have lost their jobs due to COVID. You have a scenario where climate finance has not been provided for by the developed country, which they had committed to in 2009. The multilateral financial institutions are not able to support the transition towards SDG and climate change. And therefore, all these issues are critical for the world. And therefore, India is in a position to talk to everyone. India's political narrative in terms of its leadership is very strong. We've been able to do a lot of digital transformation. We've been able to provide a huge amount of leadership during the past presidency of Indonesia. We've been able to bring everybody together. And with our positive, constructive and forward-looking approach, we aim to do the same during the coming year. We want to bring everybody together. The emerging markets, bring together the developed world, bring together all the developing countries and be the voice of the South as well. Once you do that, then everybody arrives at a broad consensus on how to take the world forward.
The Prime Minister has said that India is looking at a paradigm shift in which there will be more human-centric globalization. How challenging will it be, particularly in the backdrop of the Russia-Ukraine war and resulting energy and fuel prices, the global economic slowdown, and also the challenges related to climate change?
Yeah, so that's the basic essence of both our logo and our theme, which is one earth, one family, one future. That is, we all come from the same cosmic web. There has to be unity in diversity. There may be many different economic models. There may be different philosophical thoughts, but we all come from the same cosmos. And therefore, what the Prime Minister is saying is that eventually leaders around the world have to care for the citizens. It's not about, wars. It's not about fuel, food, fertilizer, but look beyond all that. His is a very, very philosophically elevating thought process. So he's saying that the leaders of the world must look at the citizens of the world and shape the world according to their priorities and their needs. And poverty in one part of the world has an implication in other parts of the world. A person unvaccinated in one part of the world has implication for COVID in other parts of the world. And therefore, what he's really saying is that all of us need to work together to take the citizens and the population of the world forward.
Mr. Khan, since you have spoken specifically about startups, the digital world, health and pharmaceutical transformation become very important as key issues that will be discussed by the member countries. In India, we have seen positive growth stories that are coming in from the digital world as well. We are witnessing huge transformation as well. Now, talking specifically about the contentious issue in terms of the global trade, like the Indo-Economic Framework, Pacific Framework, how do you see that shape in the G20 presidency of India?
So one key thing is what India has done in the world of digital public goods. We've been able to create identities for everyone. We've been able to create bank accounts for everyone. Every second bank account opened in India during 2015 to 2018, every second bank account in the world came from India. And therefore, it's important to understand that digital technologies transform the lives of citizens in India. Now, there are 4 billion people without a digital identity. There are 2 billion people who remain unbanked. There are 133 countries without a payment mechanism. And therefore, the Indian model can be a huge model for the rest of the world. The second key issue that you talked about was trade. What is important is to allow for much greater trade, because whenever trade has opened up, growth has taken place. Whenever growth has taken place, people have got lifted. These are issues which will be debated and discussed at length. Trade and growth is a very critical issue for discussion. Global value chains are a very critical issue for discussion. Diversifying production in different parts of the world are a very, very integral part of India's G20 presidency.
Since you've spoken about Global South, I want to understand from you this Global South bloc. How does that fit in India global geo-strategy objective? India says it will be the voice of the Global South and will work to depoliticize the global supply of food, fertilizer and medical products.
So the Prime Minister will be interacting with all the leaders of the Global South before we get into the Leaders Conference. We have interacted informally with many countries of the South. In fact, at Bali, we emerged as the voice of the South because we interacted with all the countries. We worked with Brazil, South Africa, Argentina, Mexico, Saudi, UAE, Singapore, and brought in sanity to the whole process. And that is what led to the final communique. And I think the process of interacting with the Global South, because that's one of the biggest challenges. We could have the debt sustainability initiative during the Saudi presidency due to Prime Minister Modi's initiative. And we will carry forward this because 70 countries across the world are impacted by global debt. Now, the global debt is IMF, there's the Paris Bank, there's Chinese debt, there's private debt. All this needs to be discussed, debated and sorted out, and we will play that role of finding out the right solution for countries which are impacted by the global debt.
Mr. Kant, multiple countries, including US, is taking note of India's effort in negotiating consensus. Does it elevate India's role at the global level and bringing up emerging markets issue in particular, and being a connector and negotiator for both poor and marginalized countries?
No, India's position as a negotiator has been elevated not because what US has said. It has been elevated because of our political leadership. It has been elevated because of our development story. It has been elevated because we've built vast amount of roads, 55,000 kilometers of roads, which is equal to 1.5 size the diameter of the earth. We provided housing to every 30 crore people, which is like providing a house to every Australian. We provided 29.3 million water connections, which is like providing water to every Brazilian. We provided electricity connection to our citizens. So the vast amount of developmental work that we've done in terms of all this, and digitization and health insurance and many more areas, is what has elevated the role of India and the fact that it is the fastest growing large economy in the world.
My last question to you, in one word, as the Sherpa of G20, how do you describe India's presidency? Is this an opportunity, India's moment? What do you think next 1 year will be for India?
There's a crisis in the world. Every crisis is an opportunity. India will seize this opportunity to bring global good.
All right, Amitabh Kant, always a pleasure to speak to you, sir. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for that reaction that came, particularly on what has been politics back home here in India on the entire G20 presidency. Shifting focus to the entire civil UCC push, after Uttarakhand opened the floodgates by promising to implement the Uniform Civil Code, other BJP-ruled states are now joining in. Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has stated that a committee will be constituted to oversee the implementation of the Uniform Civil Code. Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has said that the constitution has put the responsibility on the state governments, while Haryana Home Minister Anil Vij has said that the state government is considering bringing the Uniform Civil Code. Remember, until now, Goa is the only state to implement the Uniform Civil Code. This has been one of the signature promises of the BJP in almost every election manifesto, and that is the point of attack coming in from the opposition, which claims it is no more than a political stunt aimed to polarize the electorate. But there are the arguments for and against. I'll bring that, but before that, here a quick wrap of all the sound bites.
मैं तो इस बात का पक्षधर हूं कि भारत में अब समय आ गया है कि एक समान नागरिक संहिता लागू होनी चाहिए। एक से ज्यादा शादी क्यों करें? एक देश में दो विधान क्यों चले?
भारत के संविधान में डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी के तहत हर राज्य को ये इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए डायरेक्टिव हमारे संविधान ने दिया है। किन्हीं कारणों से हमारे देश में नहीं हो पाया। मुझे लगता है कि धीरे धीरे सभी राज्यों को ये करना है, करना भी पड़ेगा। महाराष्ट्र भी उचित समय पर इसके बारे में सोचेगा।
यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड एक ही कानून से जो सारों पर लागू होगा उसकी बनाने की बात की जा रही है, और हरियाणा में भी हम जल्दी विचार कर रहे हैं।
2018 में लॉ कमीशन ने ये कहा था, चुनाव आ गया, गुजरात के चुनाव आए, हिमाचल के चुनाव के वक्त पर यही मुद्दा उठाते हैं जो ध्रुवीकरण को प्रोत्साहन देते हैं।
सबको एक आंख से देखें, हिंदू, मुस्लिम, क्रिश्चियन, ईसाई, सबके घरों में इल्म की और एजुकेशन की रोशनी को पहुंचाओ, उनको समझाओ, इसमें वो मत करो। खाली ब्लेम देने से नहीं होता, ब्लेम गेम से कोई मसला हल नहीं होता।
arguments for and against uniform civil code. First, let's take a look at this. It enhances the status of women and lower castes, but the counter is that it is difficult to implement as there are diverse personal laws and devotional adherences as well. The argument in favor is that many personal law provisions in fact violate human rights. Then the counter comes that there are fears among minorities of loss of cultural identity. Article 25, 26 guarantee freedom of religion, and the UCC is not opposed to secularism. The counter is that the rights bestowed by religion can't be questioned by a court of law. Finally, the argument for uniform civil code is that a liberal and gender-sensitive civil code is the need of hour of new India. We are living in new India. The counter is that courts can't interfere with religion in the name of social reforms. So the big question that emerges, is this a push for politics or social parity? Let me first take that question to Dr. Narendra Mishra, the Home Minister of Madhya Pradesh. Narendra Mishra ji, namaskar, thank you so much. आप यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड की बात कर रहे हैं, कैसे करेंगे, कब लागू होगा?
माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने स्पष्ट कहा है कि उसकी समिति बनाने वाले हैं बहुत जल्दी, और समिति पर खंड से और बिंदु से विचार करेगी और बहुत जल्दी प्रारूप आपके सामने आ जाएगा। वैसे भी उत्तराखंड में और जगह पर वो आ चुका है, समिति उन सबका भी अध्ययन करेगी और अध्ययन के बाद में आपके समक्ष प्रस्तुत करेंगे।
आपने उत्तराखंड की बात की, गुजरात, हिमाचल प्रदेश, सब राज्यों में बात चल रही है। मेरा सवाल ये है, यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड की बात अभी क्यों होती है? चुनाव से पहले क्यों हो रही है? यही कांग्रेस आरोप लगा रही है।
हम तो उनसे मांग कर रहे हैं कि वो अपनी राय तो रख दें स्पष्ट। कांग्रेस के लोग, उनके राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष बोल तो दें कि कौन सी ऐसी इस पर वो समर्थन कर रहे हैं या विरोध कर रहे हैं। वो इस बात का वो कर ही नहीं रहे हैं कुछ भी, ना समर्थन कर रहे हैं ना विरोध कर रहे हैं। खैर, लेकिन ये बहुत आवश्यकता है देश की। आज की स्थिति ऐसी है, पार्टी ने शुरू से ही एक विधान, एक संविधान, एक राष्ट्र की बात की। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने वैसे भी पूरे देश के अंदर वन नेशन वन राशन, वन नेशन वन टैक्स, ये लागू करके पूरे राष्ट्र को एकता के सूत्र में परोने की बात है। कांग्रेस तो पहले से ही टुकड़े टुकड़े वालों को लेकर चल रही है अपने साथ में, तो स्वाभाविक रूप से वो जातियों में बांटने की बात, देश को बांटने की बात करेंगे। समानता की बात वहाँ कहीं है ही नहीं। वो जातियों में बांटने का सोचते हैं, ऊंच नीच का भेदभाव करते हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी समानता की बात करती है।
मेरा आखिरी सवाल आपसे है, क्योंकि जयराम रमेश जो कांग्रेस के नेता हैं, उन्होंने आज कहा है कि हिमाचल में चुनाव है, गुजरात में चुनाव एक फेस का बचा हुआ है और इसीलिए आप ध्रुवीकरण की राजनीति कर रहे हैं।
भाई, हमने बात नहीं की है, लागू कर दी है। हमने जो कहा है वो किया है। 370 हटाने का कहा तो हटी, 35 से हटाने का कहा तो हटा, सीए लाने का कहा तो ला, ट्रिपल तलाक हटाने का कहा तो हटा। जो कहा सो किया है और इसको भी करेंगे।
चलिए नरोत्तम मिश्रा जी, thank you so much for your time. Let me bring in my guests and go straight to Tuhin Sinha. Tuhin Sinha, is this just an election gimmick? If it's a promise that you have made in multiple election manifestos, then why is it still, sitting with the Law Commission? Why is it still pending with the Law Commission?
Well, Maria, UCC has been mandated by our constitution, and for us, it is an ideological commitment in much the same way that abrogation of Article 370 was, like the way construction of Ram Mandir was, and some of the like banning of PFI was. But when it comes to Tariq kab bataoge mentality of the Congress party, that is when they start believing it is an election issue. The point is, ideally, the talk about UCC should have begun in 1955, around the same time when Hindu Marriage Act was introduced. There was another opportunity in 1985, around the time when Supreme Court had passed a very strict judgment of the Shah Bano case, which was undone by the Rajiv Gandhi government. That is the time when we should have, as a nation, seriously, initiated our discussion into UCC. But I think at this point of time, it's better late than never. At the same time, we understand the complexities, and that is why it is a good thing if states take the lead over here.
Okay.
As far as the union government stand is clear. Honorable Law Minister has made a position clear. The entire matter is under the purview of the 22nd Law Commission, and sooner than later, it will become a reality all over the country.
Okay, George Kurian, the Congress party, of course, did not want to participate in this discussion. I want to understand from you, many religious customs and laws contravene human rights. Isn't it time to do away with them? And modern India needs civil code, uniform civil code. There is a view which says that it is high time.
Well, Maria, as we are aware that the India has a federal structure and it is introduced by the Government of India Act 1919. Having said that, the power is divided between the center and the state, and the center has more power to override certain legislative laws, and it can also make laws with respect to state subject. So I want to say that it is nothing but a Chunavi Jumla at this point in time. Congress communication in charge, Mr. Jairam Ramesh, has categorically said that this is nothing but kind of an election gimmick. Every time when elections are around the corner, the BJP will try to...
Okay, Mr. Kurian, I want to understand from you. The BJP states have gone ahead and implemented it. They have gone ahead and set up panels. What about the Congress rule states? You have 2 states with you.
Well,
and
Maria,
states where you are in alliance.
Well, Maria, the point needs to be noted that BJP, when it came to power in 2019, it had categorically made the UCC was their promise that they had made. What is stopping the BJP to introduce a bill in the Lok Sabha? And secondly, this is nothing. This will take a lot of.
Okay, so you are saying that if BJP introduces a bill, the Congress party will support it?
Well, something which is uniform at a national level, why not?
Okay.
We also believe, I mean,
So, Insina, what is stopping the BJP in expediting the entire process?
Let me
वो लोग बोल रहे हैं समय कब बताओगे, पूछ रहे हैं कि आप जल्दी से ले आइए.
When it comes to UCC.
You know, Maria, as recently as 2 or 3 days ago, the Honorable Home Minister has reiterated our commitment to UCC. I don't understand why these people get so impatient, because sooner than later, I mean, we had for years, for the last 3 years, we had this debate on when are you going to ban PFI. We did it, and then they, fortunately, the Congress has learned its lessons. It doesn't oppose it as much as it used to before. The same is going to happen with UCC. Trust me, don't keep asking why are you doing it now? When are you going to do it? Because the day we do it, that will leave you, the opposition parties, absolutely shell-shocked and running for cover.
So they are saying that they'll not oppose you to Insina. Let me bring Rahul Ishwar as well. Rahul, where do you stand on this? Is it time for parity across religious lines? Rahul, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, the greatest left liberal secular politician and leader of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, strongly supported uniform civil code. The greatest father of the constitution, our Baba Saheb Ambedkar, supported uniform civil code. But equally, the greatest of RSS personality, the greatest of Sarsang Chalak, Pujaniya Guruji Golwalkar, went on record to say that UCC, uniform civil code, will destroy India. He said what India needs is unity and not uniformity. What India needs is Hindu-Muslim brotherhood and not uniform civil code. And Guruji Golwalkar also said something very important. Guruji Golwalkar said, there are some people who think Muslims can marry 4 and their population will increase. That's the reason why they are vouching for uniform civil code. 23rd August 1972, organizer RSS itself has published this. So I know there are, across the spectrum, there are varying opinions. The greatest of left liberals supporting uniform civil code, and the greatest of, cultural nationalists, Guruji Golwalkar, opposing uniform civil code. But as the Law Commission rightly pointed out, India is still yet not ready. That's the position of the Law Commission. But 2 humble submissions. Please remember, like Guruji Golwalkar said, unity is more important, uniformity is not important. Harmony is more important, uniformity is not important. If we want to harmonize the laws, yes, let us take consent from all communities and harmonize. For example, let us have pre-marital education across communities. Let us have marriage registration across communities. And Pujaniya Sarsang Chalak rightly points out, if reform has to come, it has to come from within. If monogamy has to be in Muslim society, the Muslim brothers and sisters should come for it. And Guruji Golwalkar,
that's a point very well taken, Tuhin. The opposition that was made by Mr. Golwalkar, that it should be about unity rather than uniformity.
Unlike the left parties in the Congress, we evolve and change with the time. So I think that is something you've got to give it to the BJP and the RSS. And today, we do believe, I don't know in what context he said that at this point of time, if Rahul Ishwar may enlighten on what context, but at this point of time, I think we are uniformly in sync with the fact that UCC is a national necessity. I think to further streamline this debate, I think, polygamy, the ones who are opposing it, if you look at the irony of the situation, are the same people who oppose CAA, are the same people who opposed the construction of Ram Temple. So somewhere, is it that particular aspect of polygamy which ruffles a raw nerve in them? That should be the moot question over here.
Rahul?
Just one submission. Muslim population is not growing exponentially.
Let's have Rahul Ishwar and Tweensin on the screen now.
No,
yes.
polygamy is about a dysfunctional society, Rahul. It is not about population.
Fertility rate. Just one submission. I have immense respect for Tuhinji. Just two submissions. One, we have already achieved 2.1 fertility level. There is no population explosion. Rather, a Hindu population implosion is happened. Second, if harmonization has to happen, we should bring harmony and should bring people together. And I would like to end by quoting our Pujaniya Sarsang Chalak Dr. Mohan Bhagwat ji, who categorically said, "Ek hone ke liye ek sa hone ki zarurat nahi hai." To be united, to be one, you need not be similar to everyone. That means we can have diversity and still have unity. If that is the guiding principle, I hope we can harmonize all the laws, but it should not be bulldozing. Rather, Guruji Golwalkar's code should be remembered, and that should be, I consider that the holy Gita of Indian politics, because he has captured every nuance of it. And he rightly pointed out, more important than uniform civil code, we need to have Hindu-Muslim brotherhood. This comes from the greatest of Sarsang Chalaks, who led RSS for nearly 33 years and who was considered a saint by all. So that kind of Gandhian centrist position.
Maria, polygamy and population control are unrelated issues. Polygamy is about gender neutrality. It is about saving the, it is about a dysfunctional polygamy leads to a dysfunctional society. How is Rahul Ishwar linking it to population? Those are entirely unrelated issues.
I am not linking, sir. It was Guruji Golwalkar who said.
So where does population come over here?
Reform come from inside. It was not me. It was published in Organizer. It was by the longest serving Sarsang Chalak. I consider him a saint after Mahatma Gandhi. And Guruji Golwalkar says there is an inhibition in Hindu community regarding Muslim population. This is a negative way, एक गलत रास्ता है to address this particular problem. I agree there should be large harmonization, but the intention should be pure, the intention should be good, and it should be bring to unity. Rather, harmonizing our diversity should be the
progressive man like you, Rahul,
Guruji Golwalkar.
A progressive man like you should be talking about gender neutrality when it comes to UCC. Why are you so obsessed about population? We are all aware of the population data. Post 2047, India might have a declining population. We are all aware of it. But essentially, UCC is about gender equality and neutrality. See, don't confuse it with population growth.
Just one line. I am not a progressive. Mariaji might be a progressive person. I am a proud Arsha Bharata Sanskrit Hindu. I believe in cultural diversity.
All Hindus are progressive.
All right, Rahul Ishwar and Tweensin, thank you so much. George Korean as well, thank you. That's all from me. Thanks so much for watching this entire debate on News18.com.
Because it comes against the backdrop of two very big black swan events. First, the COVID pandemic in 2019-20 in more than 100 years, which completely unsettled supply chains across the globe. We were barely recovering from that you had earlier this year, the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So I think against that backdrop, for India to take over the G20 presidency, we'll have more than 200 events going forward across almost all major cities in India over the next 1 year. The reason it is also important is because I think geopolitically the world is getting more polarized. And I think the Prime Minister has shown that, he can be, for want of a better phrase, he can be an alpha male when he chooses to be one. Because don't forget that earlier this year in September, on the sidelines of the SEO meet at Samarkand, he categorically told Putin that India believes in dialogue and not in abetting any form of conflict or warfare. He was obviously referring to the conflict of Russia-Ukraine.
Okay.
And then again, at the G20 meet in Indonesia, he reinforced that. But mind you, despite telling Russia that dialogue is what we believe in, we did not bow down to Western pressure. We continued to buy oil from Russia when it was commercially beneficial for us.
All right.
The US
So let me then take this to Dr. Anshul Avijit. There's going to be 200 meetings for the G20 over the next 7 months across 50 cities. It'll start from the 1st of December, go on all the way till 30th of November next year. Now, this is going to happen in some of the least explored and most exotic parts of India. If this is going to help give a huge fillip to brand India and tourism in India, then what's wrong with that, Dr. Anshul Avijit?
No, I think, Zaka, you're completely missing the point. The point is that the BJP spares no occasion, no event, no bipartisan government event to promote the Prime Minister or the BJP itself. Firstly, I mean, unquestionably, the logo of the G20 is the BJP logo. I mean, without any doubt about it. I mean, the national flower is pink, it's not saffron. Secondly, the Prime Minister opened the
national flower is the lotus. I mean, I don't think it's it's immaterial what color it is, isn't it? I mean, the lotus is the national flower. It's not just a party flower. But anyway, go on, make your point. Go on.
No, hang on. This is unquestionably the BJP logo. You set the grounds for politicization. Everything is drenched in politics before it is served by the BJP.
Okay, go on.
And I'll tell you how. Allow me to finish, Zaka. The Prime Minister himself opened the doors to critique when in Bali, he turned all his speech into an election speech. I mean, while critiquing, deriding the opposition in that mocking kind of way, all the bombast that he said, he opened the doors for it. So every occasion, if that is an election speech, we have no problem. You critique the opposition.
Dr. Avijit, please answer the question I asked you. What is wrong if there are 100 meetings in 50 different cities across the country, if this is going to help give a fillip to brand India and tourism in India, particularly after, the pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war and the economic slowdown? Why not celebrate the G20? What's wrong with that? Why not make an event out of it? Yes.
We are celebrating the G20. Politics, diplomacy, international diplomacy, the fact that we are leaders of the world, we are not new to this. I mean, the standards were set much before this government came into power, as much as the Prime Minister would like to deny it, as he did in Bali when he said, he completely blanked out history before 2014. He said it. So, if you turn everything into something deeply political, we are critiquing the politics of turning this into political.
Okay, let me ask Ambassador Vishnu Prakash, as a former diplomat, I know, countries and cities that win the bid to host, let's say, the Olympics or the Asian Games or the Commonwealth Games, that's a huge deal. I mean, we've seen from, Beijing to London, Tokyo recently, all, convert.
Not Mr. Lapid's job, even as the head of the international jury, to hijack the occasion and the platform.
आपको तकलीफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव हेड कोई बना उससे है कि आपको तकलीफ की ये परिवारवाद का लेबल आप पर चिपक गया उससे है?
Enough and more issues that the Congress can raise as an opposition party in the state of Gujarat, then why is Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge talking about Ravan?
The Consul General in Mumbai went personally and apologized to Anupam Kher. They are saying, in fact, the ambassador said, you should be ashamed. You have disrespected the invitation given by your host, in this case, India.
Certainty over economic recovery post the pandemic. Yet when India has been given this unique opportunity to take the lead in tackling global challenges, some in the opposition continue to mock the Modi government's efforts. Senior Congress leader Jairam Ramesh said India's G20 presidency was inevitable because countries rotate, but no other nation that held the responsibility earlier staged a high-voltage drama as is being done now, even calling Prime Minister Modi an event manager.
It's a bizarre statement because there is a lot of content, there is a lot of homework done. It's about discussing on shaping the future of the world.
India will host as many as 200 meetings across the country over the next 1 year. The G20 summit will be organized in New Delhi in September 2023. Prime Minister Modi vowed that India's presidency of the G20 will be inclusive, ambitious, decisive and action-oriented.
We think India has made tremendous amount of progress under the Prime Ministership of Narendra Modi ji, and it is not just us. The rest of the world acknowledges that India is a country that is seen with awe and respect by the countries and peoples around the world.
So by attacking India's G20 presidency, is the Congress putting petty politics above national interest?
All right, and now Prime Minister Modi himself has countered the criticism from the Congress party and from Jairam Ramesh at a rally in Gujarat. The Prime Minister called India's G20 presidency a big opportunity for the development of the country and for the state of Gujarat. But he says the Congress falls ill at the very idea of development. Let's play out that soundbite and then we'll bring in our guests.
ભારત G20 ના દેશોના સમૂહનું નેતૃત્વ સંભાળી રહ્યું છે. આ G20 દેશો એટલે દુનિયાની 75% અર્થવ્યવસ્થાનું સંચાલન જે લોકો કરે છે એવા દેશો છે. એના મુખિયા તરીકે હવે ભારતને તક મળી છે. અને ગુજરાત માટે પણ એક મોટો મોકો છે ભાઈઓ. એ વાત સાચી છે કે આ બધું જે થઈ રહ્યું છે ને વિકાસ થાય એટલે કોંગ્રેસની તબિયત બગડે જ.
All right, joining us on the talking points, Sanju Verma, BJP National Spokesperson, Dr. Anshul Avijit, Congress Spokesperson, Vishnu Prakash, former diplomat and MEA Spokesperson, Aarti Tukku is founder and editor-in-chief of The New Indian, and Dheeraj Sharma, author and director with IIM Rohtak. Let me start with Sanju Verma. This is what Jairam Ramesh tweeted. He says that this is more about event management. The G20 presidency happens by rotation, and he lists out the 10 or 12 countries that have hosted G20 before. So why all this event management is the question from the Congress party.
You know, Zaka, I'm not particularly surprised by Jairam Ramesh's reckless remarks. It is so typical of the Congress mindset to dismiss anything. As I keep saying, and I will repeat it at the cost of sounding, repetitive. Modi विरोध में देश विरोध भी करने के लिए कांग्रेस पार्टी राजी है. I'll just tell you a couple of things why this G20 presidency is so important. It is unique in more ways than one because A, it comes against the backdrop of two very big black swan events. First, the COVID pandemic in 2019-20 in more than 100 years, which completely unsettled supply chains across the globe. We were barely recovering from that you had earlier this year, the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So I think against that backdrop, for India to take over the G20 presidency, we'll have more than 200 events going forward across almost all major cities in India over the next 1 year. The reason it is also important is because I think geopolitically the world is getting more polarized. And I think the Prime Minister has
Hello and welcome to the late night edition with me, Ayushman Singh Jamwal. Breaking news coming in at the top of the bulletin. Now, this is concerning the CBI investigation into Liquorgate, which has rocked the national capital. Now, the CBI has issued a notice to Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao's daughter, K. Kavita, in connection to the Delhi liquor policy scam. K. Kavita has tweeted that she has informed the authorities that they can meet her at her residence in Hyderabad on the 6th of December as per their request. So K. Kavita now finding herself in the middle of Liquorgate when it comes to the entire CBI investigation into the liquor policy in the national capital. Now, what we are learning is that the CBI has now issued a notice to Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao's daughter, K. Kavita, in the Delhi liquor policy scam case. In that entire case, now she has been dragged in. K. Kavita has tweeted that she has informed the authorities that they can meet her at her residence in Hyderabad on December 6th as per their request. I'm joined by my colleague Swastika Das on the phone line. Swastika, so this pitch coming in from K. Kavita that she is ready to answer any question from the CBI, but is there a pitch coming in from the TRS camp as well that this is vendetta politics?
Well, the TRS had been expecting this, and Kavita was also someone who, remember, only yesterday challenged the Modi government to saying that you can throw any kind of agencies at my door and I'll always cooperate because I know I walk on the path of honesty and truth. Now, the big breaking right now is the fact that CBI has finally issued a notice to K. Kavita, TRS MLC Chief Minister KCR's daughter, with connection with the Delhi liquor scam case, and her name has been doing the rounds since many months, ever since the case came to the fore. But formally, this would mark the first notice from a central agency to K. Kavita. Interestingly, comes a day before or a couple of days after the Enforcement Directorate, in its remand copy in Amit Arora's case, first mentioned K. Kavita's involvement, saying she had been allegedly in touch with Amit Arora through her fancy numbers and had spoken to him at least 10 times in the last 1 year. This was as per the call data record retrieved from Amit Arora's phone. But that is a separate track investigation that is being conducted by ED. But the CBI's involvement is certainly a very big news at this juncture. K. Kavita, on her part, has written to the CBI saying she is ready to appear for questioning. She mentions it as clarification on the 6th of December at her Hyderabad residence.
Right. I'm also joined by Ashish Maharishi on the phone line. Ashish, take us through the modus operandi. What are you learning from the agencies when it comes to K. Kavita's alleged role in this entire scam?
See, CBI and ED are doing simultaneous investigation. Now, what is the role of K. Kavita? If you see the recent document that has been filed in the court, which is in the form of remand notice, in the case of Amit Arora, it highlights that K. Kavita was basically in a part of the South lobby, where the South lobby included Sarath Reddy, Magunta Srinivasalu Reddy. The Magunta Srinivasalu Reddy is a member of parliament. Sarath Reddy is the owner of Aurobindo Group. And they said that there is another individual named K. Kavita, that is the daughter of KCR. They altogether, were a part of a South lobby, which was basically in touch with Vijay Nair, and Vijay Nair was given the task to collect around 100 crore rupees from South lobby. Now, that is the evidence that the Enforcement Directorate and the CBI is looking at once the role came to light, and we know that both the agencies are working in tandem with each other. So this evidence has come to light, and that is why she is being asked to join probe. Now, if you see 160 CRPC is basically that, if a police investigation officer believes so that somebody is required during an investigation,